How's it going, everybody? So we have a fun review today as we're talking Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now that it's kind of hitting me as I'm sitting down, it is sort of bittersweet and emotional that finally this is the end of the Mission Impossible franchise. For as long as I can remember, I have grown up loving this franchise. They've been putting out new entries since I was a child, but all good things must come to an end, so the only hope here really with The Final Reckoning was I just wanted to end on a high note and not a low note. As Ethan Hunt and the team continue their search for the entity that's infiltrated intelligence networks all over the globe, and ghosts from Ethan's past are on their trail, Ethan is in a race against time, shutting the entity down for good. Now, despite the title change, since originally this was supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, they pick up where we left off plot-wise fairly seamlessly in The Final Reckoning with Ethan's quest to find and destroy the entity. Gotta admit though, off the bat, while I mostly like The Final Reckoning and the ride that it took me on, looking at it as an epic conclusion, there certainly are things that I do wish in this were a little bit better. To start more on the positive end of things, when this movie is firing on all cylinders, it is exhilarating. Experience-wise, you definitely do feel just how high the stakes are for Ethan and the team due to how sprawling the adventure they go on is. The adventure aspect, the stunts, and even the spy elements, I think, are top-notch. And due to the fact that this is supposed to be the final entry, I have to commend them for the fact that they pretty much brought back the majority of people in the franchise. Since we are 8 films deep now into Mission Impossible, I have grown so fond of these characters, and even some of the newer additions that we've gotten in just the more recent films, I quite like them as well. Everyone in The Final Reckoning is giving it their all with their performances. Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Haley Atwell, Tramell Tillman, Angela Bassett, even Pom Klementieff gets to do a lot cooler stuff here returning from Dead Reckoning Part 1. As per usual, the star of the show, Tom Cruise, he is superb. As far as final missions go, he leads this final mission as Ethan Hunt excellently. His performance here cements that, bringing a surprising level of depth and emotion to the final film, in between him doing these massive death-defying stunts. I'd even say potentially this might be the most we've ever seen Tom Cruise run on screen, and if you're someone that's, I guess, thirsty for Tom Cruise, this is probably the most I've ever seen him shirtless in a movie either. For a franchise like Mission Impossible, I also have learned not to doubt the stunt work and the action, because there were a couple installments maybe in the mid-range of the films, the sequels, where the stunts in those, I figured there was no possible way they could top them, and then Tom Cruise and company would find a way to make everything bigger, more dangerous, and more satisfying to watch on screen. They really tried their best to make the most absolutely mind-blowing stunts for The Final Reckoning, and there's 2 in particular in this that I do think are potentially all-timers for the franchise. While they are both very different stunts from one another, they each bring jaw-dropping thrills and took my breath away. One of them being this big, elaborate underwater stunt. It's incredibly intense and nerve-wracking, while the plane sequence, it's just genuinely insane. The stunt work itself is insane. How Christopher McQuarrie shoots all of this is insane. Only someone that has a death wish like Tom Cruise would ever try a death-defying stunt this dangerous on camera. Now, that does lead me to, unfortunately, some gripes I have with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. A big one, unfortunately, is the first third or so of the movie. It is kind of a chore to sit through. Don't expect a lot of excitement in that first hour. This section is where the movie really starts to feel bogged down in exposition, particularly with Ethan trying to convince and set up these stunts that we all want to see. They don't come for quite a while. Part of me does kind of want to give the movie a little bit of leeway with that extended runtime. It's almost 3 hours long. This is supposed to be the final Mission Impossible. You might as well make it lengthy and go out with a bang. But the script overall in The Final Reckoning is so scatterbrained, with all of these different ideas trying to bring decades worth of stuff to a close, and ultimately leaving large chunks of the plot. Although I did have a fun time for the most part, it's very messy. In general, The Final Reckoning heavily relies on not only you being a super fan of the franchise with an abundance of flashbacks throughout, even tries to introduce some new things into the story that a lot of them ultimately don't end up going anywhere in the end, and since this is the final installment, they're not going to get addressed at all in a following movie, because there is no following movie. Admittedly, some of those callbacks throughout the movie are well done because they do add weight to the story at hand, tying some details together for Ethan and everybody across the films. I just feel like the execution of that is extremely lacking, and because of all these scatterbrained ideas and this bloated runtime, it causes the pacing in this movie to be completely all over the place, especially in the first hour. If you get through the first hour, I think the next 2 hours are well worth it. You just gotta stick with the movie. Due to some of that messiness, I have seen some people already talk online that it's sort of like the Rise of Skywalker of Mission Impossible. I don't think that's the case. I don't think everything here is that egregiously ridiculous. And while I only liked but not loved Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I do think for the most part it concludes the franchise in a satisfying fashion. Certain elements for sure could have been better, but I don't think it's a complete dumpster fire like something like The Rise of Skywalker is either. I will miss this franchise though. It was one of those I always look forward to a new installment every couple years just to see what Tom Cruise could cook up as far as a stunt that you would think would kill him and then he somehow survives. Once you get a chance to check out Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning though, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the film? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film? Thank you guys. As always, checking out videos, I always do appreciate it. Make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel to update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.